Well, I heard you say something in that little bit there, and it had the word caffeine in it, so it's a good transition.
Yeah.
Because I heard that caffeine is the best thing you can do for your body, and that it equals hydration. Is that true? And I'm being very sarcastic.
So funny.
Yeah.
So caffeine can be fantastic for brain alertness when used strategically.
Mm-hmm. Which means 18 cups of coffee before 6 a.m.
Right, exactly. It can be fantastic for sports performance when used strategically. So when I'm saying all that is don't hear me say don't ever drink caffeine. Mm-hmm. But yes, it will dehydrate you. It's not going to count towards your hydration of the day.
I think that is so key. And talk about hydration then, because we could talk about food all day long, and if you are depriving yourself of water, especially if you eat a diet where you're not eating vegetables that much, where we.
But after you listen to this podcast, you're going to be eating vegetables. So go ahead.
That's right.
You're going to make yourself.
So there's a lot of people that do not drink water, and everything has caffeine in it. So I was talking earlier that my dad drinks Pepsi and doesn't drink water at all. So he is always, his lips are cracked or he feels, and I'm like, because you don't. And so you're saying, don't think of that cup of coffee as a way of hydrating.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
So what is it about caffeine that does that?
It's
just a diuretic.
It's a diuretic. Yeah. It's a diuretic.
What does that mean though? Because not everybody, so it makes you pee?
Makes you pee. So like if somebody is on a blood pressure, if somebody has high blood pressure and they're on a diuretic medication, it's to make them pee. The water thing, you talked about your dad's cracked lips. He's in extreme chronic dehydration if he's having that. There's a lot of research on dementia patients and hydration that you can get about 80% of dementia symptoms significantly decreased when the person's brain is fully hydrated. So I think about that with, the busy professionals that I work with. It's like they want to go in the boardroom and think well and make good decisions. Yeah. You got to be fully hydrated to do that.
Mm-hmm. Performance in those situations is very, very important because especially if you're if you're trying to convince somebody, to either buy your product or, go with your plan or anything like that, you need to be on top of things. And so to your point earlier, caffeine as a nootropic in those situations, beneficial, but what about you get up every morning and then the first thing you do is drink a cup of coffee, and then the second thing is a cup of coffee, and then the third thing is a cup of coffee? And I'm looking at you.
Oh, I do it.
Yeah. So honestly, one of the best things that you can do to set yourself up for an amazing day is drink a glass of water when you first get up.
It's great advice.
Now, can you then have a cup of coffee? Sure.
Well, I will.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Go for it. But if you start with that cup of water or a couple of cups of water, and by cup, I mean 8 ounces of water in the morning, you've sweated during the night, you've lost fluid during the night through breathing, you are waking up in a slightly dehydrated state, whether you feel thirsty or not. And we can get into the thirst thing. But you want to start your day with some water and then just keep drinking it through the day.
Well, let's bring it to the data then. Are you supposed to drink a certain amount of water, or does it go to thirst?
Thirst. Okay. If we were in a perfect world where nobody had ever negatively messed with any of the systems of their body, and they were in perfect attunement with that first tiny bit of thirst, they would be able to tell not just thirst in their mouth, but how their body felt.
Yeah.
Like with hunger, sometimes I don't feel a rumbling in my stomach. Sometimes I just feel a drop in energy. That's one of the signals. So there's more than just, my mouth feels dry.
Yeah.
Also, just have either one of you ever fasted? Just long-term, several days? Okay, so the first 3 days of fasting, you are ravenous, and then your hunger goes away. Your body adjusts. Same thing with thirst. If you are chronically a little bit dehydrated, your body gets used to that.
Yeah, it just becomes your homeostasis, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
And so people go, well, I don't feel thirsty. I only drink, 5. I've got a woman I was working with. She's like, I probably drink a couple of cups of water a day and the rest of it's sodas or things like that. And she's like, and I don't feel thirsty. Well, that's because that's what your body's gotten used to. And then she started drinking plenty of water, and we'll get to what plenty means. She started drinking plenty of water, and she's like, now I'm craving it. Now I know what good hydration feels like in my body. So it's not so much a number, because I am so glad that you mentioned running 20 miles, because that's a great play on this. What you do on a day-to-day basis is going to determine how much water that you need. The best test, the best data you can give yourself on that is, what's the color of my pee? If it's clear or straw colored or light, you're fine. You are well hydrated, and it can't just be that way periodically, because then it's maybe you've drunk so much at one time that it's just hitting your kidneys and flushing out. But if it's constantly like that, that means, yep, all the cells in my body, they got what they need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. And I'll have